Hello, my name is Bill, and I want to show you how I say goodbye to this year and hello to the next one, and still remember what you did. My wife and I have had this tradition for almost as long as we've been married. Even though we don't stay up until midnight, we still have fun watching TV and enjoying some great food and drink that is worth dressing up for. I have a collection of finger foods that I can easily make with a little prep work. So let's get started. I have here a pound, basically a pound of shrimp. I like to use larger shrimp. They're better for shrimp cocktail. And these aren't the cheap stuff. Doesn't matter if they're fresh or frozen, but spend a couple extra dollars and get a better shrimp. Sometimes I'll just ask the guy behind the counter, hey, what do you got that's good right now? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to it juice of 1 lemon. That's about 3 tablespoons. I need a 1/4 cup of olive oil here. I have some Italian parsley that I chopped. This is fresh from my garden, actually. I have 2 cloves of garlic that have been minced. I love the smell of garlic. And in here, I have a little bit of salt and a little crushed red pepper. I know I don't cook with salt, I always say that, but actually this is just a marinade. It's just to coat the shrimp, and it's perfectly all right. I'm not breaking my rules. I'm just going to kind of mix it together. Like I said, we don't have to make enough to submerge it. It's literally just about getting kind of tossed around. It's funny, I always think of shrimp cocktail as something you just eat when you go out to a restaurant, the fancy restaurant, but it's really easy to make. And I just think it helps a little bit. I mean, this is actually good enough. You wouldn't even need to put it in cocktail sauce to eat it, but just get a little starter here. Okay. All that's going to take. So that's ready for the refrigerator. So now I'm going to make the cocktail sauce. I have here about a cup, maybe a little more of chili sauce. Once again, I'm going to add in, this is the juice of the lemon. I might not need all of it. I'm going to say probably about 2 tablespoons, not quite all 3. Dashes of Worcestershire sauce. And this is horseradish. I love horseradish, so I tend to put extra in, but if you're having people over and you really don't know what their preference is, I would say 3 to 4 tablespoons of horseradish would be fine. You can certainly customize it and just taste as you go. It's a whole lot easier. Of course, remember, everything needs to be refrigerated a little bit, and that's going to make it a little bit hotter. I never use store-bought cocktail sauce because I never can taste the horseradish. It's so bland. And I think you really need to have the Worcestershire sauce and real lemon juice. Obviously, cocktail sauce coming off an assembly line is going to use, fake lemon juice, fresh squeezed, especially here in Florida. All right, so I've made some extra because we're going to need extra for another recipe that I'm going to be doing in a minute. So I've got these 2 things ready for the fridge. So let's give them a minute to chill, and we'll come back and we'll finish it up for you. Thank you. Now it's time for one of my favorite crab cocktail dips. My mom used to make this for parties, but she used frozen crab meat and pre-made cocktail sauce. How boring. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a plate And I smeared 4 ounces of softened cream cheese on it. It's better to use block cream cheese so it maintains texture because we're going to refrigerate it afterwards. And then what I'm going to do, I've got about 4 ounces of lump crab meat. You can use jumbo if you want to spend the extra money. Just don't use the, like the back of it, the claw meat. So basically we're just going to kind of break this up, kind of spread it on top here. It's going to be perfect. So in essence, you could probably put on about as much as you want. This is a very decadent way to eat crab meat, let me tell you. Okay, so we have it well covered. So basically now all we'd have to do is we're going to spoon on some of the cocktail sauce over it and serve it with some crackers and a little fancy butter knife. Just cut in and smear it on the crackers. And this really is a nice fancy little plate of food to eat. I love crab meat, and it's an easy way of doing it. Okay, now let's make some fancy plate of cheese and crackers. So what I have here, I have some crackers. I'm only doing a few for demonstration. Obviously you could make a big bunch of them. You're basically going to take a cookie sheet, put some aluminum foil on it, any crackers you want. I've gone to the deli and I've got just a little bit of prosciutto. This is the good stuff, the Parma prosciutto. I never knew what this was until I was older. And this is like the coolest stuff in the world. I love it. It's great on pizza. You can put on subs. I actually use it in my Marcella. Alright, so I've got a little prosciutto on here. Now I've very thinly sliced some red onion. And I just want to get a little taste of it on here. We don't have to kill it. Red onion is so much better to work with. All I can smell is the prosciutto. The saltiness of the prosciutto really comes through. So like I said, you can use any kind of cracker you wanted. Alright, now you're going to top a little piece of Gouda cheese. This is something else you can do ahead of time. I wouldn't do it like the night before, but you can certainly have this sitting here at room temperature, because what you want to do is right before you're ready to serve it, you're going to throw it in the oven for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes in the oven is going to, just to soften the cheese. You're not trying to melt the cheese all over the place, but just to soften it, and just warm it up, get that prosciutto warm, and get some of the fragrance from the prosciutto. So now, let's get back to our shrimp. Okay, now I've got the shrimp out of the fridge. They've been marinating for about an hour. I put them on a cookie sheet or baking sheet covered in tin foil. These things are ready to go in the oven, and then we can talk about it. I got a 350-degree oven. They should take about 3 minutes in the oven to get them cooked on one side. Then we're going to flip them. You can actually broil them. I find that it tends to sear before it cooks through, so I just prefer a 350-degree oven. Probably wondering why I bake shrimp instead of boil like everyone else. Well, when you boil shrimp, you take all the flavor and texture out of it. That's great if you have some frozen lousy shrimp, but if you have good shrimp like these, you want to maintain that texture and flavor. I know I marinated them, but that just is to enhance. A little lemon juice like you would, a little parsley. It's all good. If you think about how your grandmother used to boil all of her vegetables until there was no taste or texture left. It's the same thing, you know. So how we make up for it, especially kind of a New England way to do it, is to use the the boiling seasoning, and it's like, that just has a flavor of its own. In fact, it's funny when you go to a restaurant, they serve like lobster rolls, and it's just like saturated in the seasoning, because it really, it's not anything of the natural flavor. So when I make my lobster rolls, I don't put anything in it. So like I said, these should be about 3 minutes. Then when I take them out, we're going to get them flipped, and it's going to be 3 more minutes. Depending on the size of the shrimp, pretty safe bet that you can that they should cook in pretty close to that. But obviously, if you're using smaller shrimp, you're going to want to watch a little more closely, or if your oven's hot. Rule of thumb is about 3 minutes for these bigger shrimp. So I've got most of the shrimp flipped. Let me get these finished flipping them. Ended up taking closer to 4 minutes for these. These are pretty good size. You can really tell the garlic's roasted. These are going to be really great. The house smells wonderful just from these shrimp. So let me get these back in to get them finished for the last 4 minutes. So they're basically cooking through nicely. Like I said, these are larger, so they would be 8 minutes total. So you want to have that kind of gauge just in case you are going to serve these warm. So about now you want to get the cocktail sauce out so it's not ice cold. Set up arrange how you're going to do it if you're going to do it hot. And the other thing I wanted to mention was to keep your New Year's Eve partying happy. What you want to do is keep your liquor clear, the champagne real, and drink lots of water. This is kind of a mid-range champagne. This is actually a champagne, which means it came from, France. It's a Grand Cru Blanc de Blanc. It's a great dry wine, or dry champagne. What makes this one of my favorites, it's less Chardonnay grape. You'll find that a lot of, especially the sparkling wines in the States, have a high concentration of Chardonnay. It's not my thing. And you want to also remember that cheap champagne can really, really ruin your headache. So the key to it is, like I said, if you're using lots of mixers and cheap liquor, that's not good. So you want to use a better brand of liquor, keep it clear, and better champagne. Everyone wants to celebrate a little champagne at midnight, and drink lots of water. So the rule of thumb is you want to drink a glass of water for every drink you drink. And that also helps you kind of pace yourself. If you start chugging your drinks, you really need to step back and just pace yourself a little bit, because waking up New Year's Day feeling like crap is not the way you want to do it. We'll actually, my wife and I could actually drink 2 bottles of champagne on New Year's Eve, because we start at dinner time and until we're ready to go to bed. And so as long as you're pacing yourself, it's absolutely fine. So the shrimp have probably another minute. We're going to let them finish up, and then we're going to take them out, see what they look like. These shrimp look absolutely fabulous and smell even better. I wish you could smell them through my YouTube channel. So just remember, we've already had the cocktail sauce out. If you're going to serve them warm and it's a peel and eat thing, you're going to just put some on a plate for people to dig in and peel and eat themselves. Make sure you have plenty of paper towels or napkins for them. It is New Year's Eve, so you might want to spring for the linen napkins just to impress them. And if you're going to chill them, let them cool a second, or a minute or two, and then start peeling, because they're a lot easier to peel when they're still warm. Don't think you can throw them in the refrigerator and then peel them. It's a lot easier to do it this way. So we've got everything ready. We have our shrimp cocktail here. We have our crab cocktail dip. I've got the cheese and crackers, and we've got some nice champagne. So I think this is a really good way to have a New Year's Eve party for a small group like you're going to have this year, obviously. And I hope everyone has a great New Year's. And don't forget, I would appreciate it if you subscribe, click the bell, and comments are always great, good or bad. I really do enjoy the comments, and give me a thumbs up if you like it. I appreciate all your support for this year, and let's look forward to 2021. Thank you.